Ore iti whānau. So this is going to be, hang on, I have it here stuck to my camera. This is going to be quite a methodical approach to me how I cover my journals. You've probably seen 100,000 videos, but everyone does it a little bit different. And I thought if I show you, then maybe you'll pick up something different that I do that might make it a little bit easier for you. You never know. So what I use is, and you've probably heard me talk about this a lot. So this is mat board. It's the board that they use for picture framing, making the mats for picture framing at galleries. I just bring them up and I say, have you got any scraps? And they're kind enough to give me the scraps that they have. So ring around, nice free resource. They're only ever going to throw them away. So junk journal, yes. So I have done as much prep as I possibly can. So I have already cut my covers and my spine. You're going to need your, also cut and inked for you guys. I've got the cover papers, and don't worry, I'll explain to you why I've got them the size that I do and things like that. And I've got the inside cover papers. I also have cut the fabric pieces that I'm going to need to cover the spine, because I cover my spine with fabric. And this stuff, gold, absolute gold, just double-sided A4 adhesive sheets. Love this stuff, use it a lot for a lot of different things. In New Zealand, I just get it from the warehouse. I think it's about $4 for a pack of 4. Nice and cheap. Okay, cut those as well. Now, please don't think I'm this organised when I'm actually covering a journal, because I'm not. Okay, so I've cut my fabric. I've cut, thank you, needles, for interrupting. She's on her way out the window and she's about to fall off the plastic box. We'll see how she goes. If you hear a noise, that's what it is. Cats and kids. You can't film with them, can't film without them. So I've cut everything. And usually I just have a massive mess, but cutting them all on video is going to take too long. Okay, so I have this journal that I want to bind, and I will do another video when I'm actually doing the signatures as well, because I'm going to bead those like I do. And once again, you know, there might be just one thing that you think, oh my gosh, that would make it so much easier, I'm struggling with that. So I thought, well, I'll post it. Okay, so we are attempting to put this together so that it is in its own cover. So first thing I do is I want to know the size of my spine. How do I figure out the size of my spine? Because if I hold the signatures together, yeah. So what I do is I stack them together. I give them a little bit of a squeeze in the middle, not really tight, just a little bit of a squeeze. And I measure like this, just approximately. So I've got 6.5 centimeters there, but I'm going to make it 7. So I would usually, I mean, this is 90% finish. There's not much more that's going to be put into this puppy. But when I do the cover, I might want to put something on the inside cover, and I might want to put something on the outside cover. So I would add 0.5, so 0.5 centimeter to 1 centimeter. And I have actually made my spine 7 centimeters. Okay, so I've added 0.5. Now that's going to give you a journal so that it closes nicely without too much fuss, and it will crocodile when she's open, just a little bit, which I love. I don't like them laying flat when they're open. I like it when you open her and she just pops out the side. If you wanted a completely flat journal, you would probably want to add probably 1.5 to 2 centimeters more, or you would want to measure this size. Okay, but I don't like a whole lot of room in the journals. I like them to be chunky, you know, like they're full of junk. That's kind of what we do. Okay, so I've explained to you the spine and how I've chosen that size. So I'm just going to roll on with the spine part of it and how I cover it. No, I will tell you how I... So these I know I made this whole journal A6 papers approximately. So that is an A4 folded in half, ripped in half, that's your normal letter size paper, and then I've folded those two pieces in half, that's an A6. I know I've got bits sticking out top and bottom where I've made the pages slightly bigger, but like I say, I love that. If you wanted to make it a little bit bigger, you could. So once I cut these first, then I know what height I need my spine, and I just figure out the measurements like I explained. So then I have my 3 pieces. Now I like to bind these together. I don't even know if that's the word, stick together, adhere together. Not a professional bookbinder by any means. I like to put them together with fabric, because if it was paper, it's going to be too flimsy, and I want my journals to last. I think fabric will last longer. I usually use cotton fabric, and it'll be 2 layers thick as well. Okay, when I cut these guys, now these are the double-sided adhesive sheets. So I want one that is, sorry, I cut the fabric first. So I'm just going to cut the fabric first off reasonably big. These are going to sit slightly apart, and I'll show you how the easiest way to do that as well. So I do want this much here at least to adhere onto this side so that it's nice and strong. Okay, I like the way my journals kind of just flop open. So if I show you this one, which yes, these are all coming up, they open nicely with, and that's because I've used the fabric for the spine. Okay, so they're not stiff at all, and they also kind of roll flat as well, which allows you for a lot more room to get into them. Okay, right, hopefully this video isn't going to be too long. I have tried to prep for you guys as much as I can, but this is a bit of a process, because it's, you know, logical steps. Right, so the reason why this is so long is because I want this to come up here, and then this piece of fabric will only be this big. Okay, so I've only got 0.5 room there. So when this comes up, that next piece of fabric is going to hide that folded edge and stick onto there, and only leave this neat little 0.5 millimeter edge top and bottom. I really hope I'm doing this as logically as possible. I've tried so many times to think about filming this, and I didn't even know where to start, so forgive me if it's not that easy to follow. Okay, I even picked those so that I didn't have to spend 15 minutes trying to get that off there. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. The sides are actually a little bit different from each other. I don't think it matters which one you take off first. And oh, yes, it is kind of a patchwork pattern, but by the time I've got beads and stuff bound into the spine, you're not going to see whether those are straight or not. I just want to make sure that when I put this on here, it lays nice and flat on the adhesive. So you don't want something like that. So I'll just quickly, carefully lift it up and lay it down. So I want it nice and flat. See how nice and flat that comes out? Then I need to do the same thing with the other piece for the inside, and then I am going to go off camera so that I don't waste your time, and just with a pair of scissors I'm going to trim around to fit that piece of paper perfectly. So that is why I've just cut this fabric just a little bit bigger, because you know fabric kind of warps, and that will allow me to cut it nice and neatly. Okay, so I'll pop back in a second. I'm just going to cut off that extra fabric. Okay, we're back, and I have trimmed those nice and neatly. So next step. First piece you're going to put on is the longer piece. So I didn't prepare this. Come on, don't take forever. People are watching. Okay, so now I have a piece of fabric completely covered with double-sided tape. Now, you could do this either way up, but I like to just approximate so I can make it reasonably straight, because it doesn't have to be perfect. Check the other side, and we're just going to smooth that down. Next step, front and back should be exactly the same, so I want to line that up as perfectly as I can on this side and top and bottom. And then I am just going to, and that is going to give you the perfect distance that you need between your two. That's the exact distance that you need there so that it opens and closes beautifully. Okay, next step, same thing for the back. And yes, it does sometimes stick together, as you saw, but it comes apart, that's all right. And open up. Now, these are absolutely perfectly measured. Next step, fold this one down, and I always like to just push that neatly into there. And now we need to put the little piece to neaten this up. Never work with kids, animals, or double-sided tape and stickers. Oh, 2 more seconds. Okay, gonna pause you. Okay, 10 minutes later. Now, if you want to put a little bit of lace tucking out of these 2 layers and have the little bit of lace there, this would be the time to do it. And I would Fabri-Tac your lace on, and then I would stick this part on. So remember, we've got about a 0.5 allowance down there, and take that up to the top. Once again, pop that into there. That just makes sure that you've got the maximum amount of space. Don't worry about this, we're going to cover that. Okay, so there we go, spine covered. She opens and closes beautifully, makes it really easy. She's nice and neat, and I'm not sure, I won't show you front and back because it's exactly the same process, and I'll be teaching you how to suck eggs if I show it to you twice. So I will do the front and then I will do the back off camera. Okay, so front piece first, because this is the piece that is going to wrap around to cover these bits. Now, to be perfectly honest, I pretty much cover this completely with my journals. I mean, you can't even see what I covered it with there. But I find I don't have to worry about these edges, and if I do decide to use this as a background and have something showing through, I can. Okay, now up to you if you use Fabri-Tac for this, or if you want to use the double-sided adhesive tape. Quite often I have been using the double-sided adhesive tape, so once again I will go off camera and I will put some of that stuff on, and all you're going to do, pretty much exactly the same process. I'm just gonna, sorry about the noise, take a piece of that and I'm going to cut a piece probably slightly bigger, and then I'm going to stick it to it. That way, and once I've got one side of the double-sided adhesive tape off, I hold it like that and I pop that corner down first, and then I swing it to meet that corner so that that's nice and flush, and then I roll it down. Okay, so I'll do that off camera. Changed my mind, I'll just fast forward it instead. Yes, that is as difficult as it looks, cutting adhesive or sellotape, but you guys know that. It's worth it in the end. Okay, so now that we have our, and I just printed this on Awagami, my favourite paper, Japanese paper. I just love the extra texture that it gives. And yeah, I know you're not going to see it, but you know, it's something I like to do. Okay. So now all we need to do, I do not want to cover this ridge in here with the paper. I have inked this edge. None of the other edges matter. So I'm just going to put that down there. And then we just want to cut these corners a little bit. Now I don't want to cut right into that corner. I want to cut like that, okay, because I actually want to use that extra paper to cover that corner. And then I am going to fold that one up, fold that one up, and this is where I just push that. You see that teeny tiny little corner? Just push that down and just a little bit, so kind of in and down, and then I'm going to do that. Usually if I leave it like that, but see how you've got those nice neat corners and they're covered. If I was going to use the front cover so that I could actually see it, I would probably put book corners on it anyway to protect it, but I don't know, I just like doing things like this way. Okay, this guy, I have inked all around the edges, and this one should be just a couple of millimeters space, and you can get away with that because we have made that so that it's covered anyway. So otherwise, if it's the perfect fit, you're going to have a heck of a time getting it on there and getting it straight. Now this part I do use my Helmers or Fabri-Tac or whatever brand it is that you guys use, and I do liberally glue it. And because I know the space that I have left around that, I'm pretty good. There we go. Now I have a perfectly covered, ignore that, just fold that around for a second. Perfectly covered spine, perfectly covered front. The back will be exactly the same. I'll pop back and show you that in a second. And we're all enclosed and neat and tidy, and I can throw whatever I want on there, and if anything peeks through, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you don't do elaborate covers, it's a perfectly good cover. Just chuck a closure on there and you're good to go. Okay, so I'll just quickly finish the back exactly the same way as I finished the front, and I will show you the end result. And here she is. Nice and flexible. Great size for the journal that we're making. There we go. If I give her a really good squish, I've got room there. And if I don't, she opens up a little bit. Like I said, she's got a little bit more to go in there. And I hope this was helpful for some people. And even if you're a seasoned professional, I really hope that this, I don't know, gave you something, gave you a little hint and thought, oh, I haven't tried that before. Now, other thing is, don't throw this away. Great for making faux yellow tape. Put the sellotape on the scraps from peeling off the adhesive, and grab your alcohol inks and splatter that all over, and get a fan brush and put it all over the sellotape. Brilliant. Brilliant for your sellotape. Peels off nicely, sticks to it nicely. There you go. Okay, I will be back with my next video, which will be how I put in my signatures. Nothing fancy, just a three hole stitch, but I will be beading it. So yeah, and I have changed my method in how I bind my signatures, and I've made it easier and easier for myself. So I don't think anyone can say that this is their favorite part of journal making. It's certainly not mine. So the easier and more straightforward I have made it, the better. Okay, so I will see you for that one. Until then, love you guys. Thank you so much for all your support and love. Bye for now.